I knew the station was somewhere near, and if something is near, you can find it by moving in a spiral, walking in a clockwise direction, taking every right turn, until you come to a road you've already walked on.
The design had to be a piece of imagination. The more realistic you made it, the more domestic and clunky and heavy it felt. It has to be light and agile and highly imaginative.
Over here! Christopher! Look!
Very early on, we talked quite a lot about setting it as if it's in the school hall that the school that Christopher's at, because quite a lot of the scenes happen at Christopher's school. And then quite quickly, when Marianne and I were working on it, we wanted to make it more abstract than that. So we wanted to make it as if we were inside Christopher's head, as if we were in his imagination. In order for that to feel comfortable for Christopher, it was clear that that had to be somewhere that was very ordered and very clean and mathematical.
Show that a triangle with sides that can be written in the form n squared plus 1.
When I was doing the design, I went and bought the A-level papers and took a lot of the diagrams and the grids and looked at some of the questions. So a lot of the design came directly from A-level maths.
Siobhan says that if you raise one eyebrow, it can mean lots of different
The
things.
design was on kind of two levels. One was, in the book he describes himself as being a little bit like Sherlock Holmes, in that his brain was a bit like a laboratory in which he could come to some sort of solution. So that was very much how we decided to design the show, like a laboratory of his brain. And the other thing was that the first half of the show is like a kind of whodunit, because that's what his book is initially. So we also wanted to make the design a bit like a incident board in a crime room in a police station.
I only know one person who didn't like Mrs. Shears, and that is Mr. Shears, who divorced Mrs. Shears and went to live somewhere else, and who knew Wellington very well indeed. This means Mr. Shears is my prime suspect.
It's used like a bit of graph paper, actually. So the projections that are projected onto it are his diagrams or his workings out.
Inside Christopher's head, we can go anywhere then, so we can shoot off into the atmosphere and amongst the stars. So the set really had to be able to be lots of different places and feel like lots of different places.
Because imagining an apple in someone's eye doesn't have anything to do with liking someone a lot.
He jumps timelines, so he goes back and forth in time.
I'm sorry.
And he goes from one scene and jump cuts to the middle of another scene. And we needed to do that in a very agile way.
Christopher, I think you should do what your father tells you to do.
What happened to you the other day?
Which day?
I came out again and you'd gone. I had to eat all the biscuits myself.
I went away.
I gathered that.
If you'd had a set trundling on of a realistic kitchen and doing a realistic set, and then the set trundling off and suddenly we're in a garden, you wouldn't be following him at the speed that his brain goes.
Maybe we should take a little walk in the park together. This is not the place to be talking about this kind of thing.
You're really creating an environment where the story can be told clearly, and that's all got to happen quite fluidly and poetically in front of people's eyes. So the whole evening makes sense and moves the way that the director wants the story to be told.
I decided to go out on my own.
When you talk about lighting design, really, I felt the lighting shouldn't describe a place, because the lighting was just what Christopher saw, and what Christopher saw I always saw as being very kind of cool, white and controlled. So we don't use colour or warmth or anything like that. We're very specific about when places change and when they don't.
Reverend Peters, where is heaven?
In a way, Curious moves like the inside of Christopher's head, so it has to be lots of changes in the lighting all the time, because it's as busy as he is.
We talked a lot about it feeling like it was Christopher's brain, and that the company, the rest of the actors who are within that, are almost like microbes of his brain. They're like energy systems that are whizzing around and bouncing off the walls, so that the whole set has to feel like it's another character.
We designed every scene before we went into rehearsal. We did a storyboard with models and photographed every scene, so we knew how every scene should look and should be staged.
Go.
The model box is really, really vital. Unlike, of course, a computer animation, when I go and visit the builders, we can pick it up, we can make things work on it. We've got it in our hands, we can turn it around, we can look at it as we're working on it. The painters work directly from the model box, so they match exactly my colours and design, 25 times bigger. There's a kind of a kit for the show, and everything that we need to tell the story is there within that kit.
The props clearly displayed, the actors clearly displayed. Some of them never leave the stage. They're sort of hopefully taking the audience with them on this highly imaginative, suggestive, stylised way of telling Christopher's story.